I'm back, guys. Thinking a lot about things that are just happening to me and in my life. I'm sure you guys know it, but I've been out of work for 6 months now. Oh boy, oh boy. And it's like, there goes the camera again. I don't know what's coming next in my life. I don't know if that I'll be able to get this camera to work. I was gonna see if I could try my hand at storytelling. So I drove down to the interview today. I mean, it was both good and bad because it kind of confirmed what I already knew, that I had limited marketability, very hard to start again. I already knew that. I needed people to see past my past and hire me anyway. And it just wasn't really clear if I was going to be able to find someone that can turn a blind eye to my past. Like the gaps are there in my employment. It's like I couldn't have helped it. And so yeah, I'm driving back from the interview, and then there's this trailer, this truck that is just throwing rocks everywhere, everywhere. And they basically like showered my car. So I'm gonna go in tomorrow to try to get the windshield repaired. But then I'm coming back and I hit McDonald's like I usually do. Usually I do like a kill two birds with one stone thing. And uh McDonald's, for some reason there was a glitch in the app. The app is normally how I place the order. And at first it was like weird. It's like the order got canceled out. And so I go in, and of course they had the order, it went through, but for some reason it didn't go through correctly. And I checked the order. I checked it again in the app before I put the order through, and it said $5, and that's normally what I'm used to paying. For some reason, it came out to be 7, and I got an extra hot and spicy. So I don't know. I asked them for a partial refund. Still waiting to hear back, and that's the kind of thing that makes me like want to swear off McDonald's at least for like a month straight. Telling you guys, it's like, am I gonna have to reacclimate myself to work? And yeah, Fandy's looking fine today. Like, dang, Fandy, you want a boy? I'm here for you. Come get me. Watching her stream right now, and she is fine. But yeah, anyway. Um, Anything else I want to say? Yeah, I'm gonna take the next 2 days off. Like I said, tomorrow I'm gonna go in and try to get that car fixed. But it's like, you gotta ask myself, like, do I really want to return to work? And it's like, well, yes and no. Because I've never been the type to have like a glamorous job. And yeah, I met a girl today at the school that I interviewed at. Her name was Sarah. I was thinking about asking her for her number, but the opportunity didn't come up. Um, I think it's one of those situations where it's just like I just got to weigh it out. Because, like, for example, if we're like surrounded by people, I don't want it to seem awkward or for it to like jeopardize her job because it seems like she's like flirting on the clock or something. Like, uh, yeah, it was like nice to meet her, and I think I could just leave it like that. And yeah, I'm glad the camera's like finally working. I'm telling you, this laptop Victus, get it together, HP, get it together, Victus. It's hard to run this show without a working camera. it's hard to have meetings online without the working camera. And so it's like I'm the kind of guy where it's like hard enough as it is to like find confidence, and then something like that happens, and it's like one more thing, just one more thing. Like I was telling a guy in the grocery store yesterday, it's like the older I get, the more I'm just trying to just let that stuff fall by the wayside, not stress as much about the details. And it's like, again, it's hard for me to say what next in my career, what next in my job. I know what I want to be. I know what I want to do. Like, I want to be a school leader. I want to be an admin, a principal. I've got the experience, but it's a question of whether or not, again, am I going to be admitted to the program? I'm sure there are plenty of people in the audience that are like, just shoot your shot, dude. Just shoot your shot. I just want it to be a safe bet. That's what I'm saying. Because I done been rejected. I was rejected once today, as a matter of fact. All right, I'm gonna dive into the game because I saw someone came and then they left, so they're probably like, "Come on, get on with the game." She had a boyfriend, though. He was actually there too, but it's a good way for me because it shows that I'm getting more outgoing, which is good. I think I just have to be that way. Here we go again, John Marston. Just thinking a lot about life in general. World of Warcraft. I think I've talked about it here on the show. I am not quite ready to get back into WoW. Kind of fine with the games that I'm playing as they are. Between Red Dead Redemption 2 and just wrapping up Batman Arkham Asylum, I think today or tomorrow will be the last day I play Arkham Asylum, and I'll switch over to Arkham City. Oops, hold on. Keep checking the map. Let's see here. Where am I? Oh, I'm here. Let me try just going back and seeing if I could just scale down. Talked to that recruiter again today too. I'm just like, hey, you gotta look out for your candidates. Don't always assume. Don't always assume people can make it out to interviews. Because again, like, what if I didn't have a car? I'd have to use public transit or ask my roommates for a ride. Or, rideshare. This is just annoying. I don't even know what's happening anymore. I'm gonna have to reload, by the way. This This is not good. All right, motherhood. And I kind of had a mini reflection of teaching today. Like here's like my full candid attitude about teaching. I think it has its moments. Like, okay, get on with it, John Marston. Jeez Louise. I did enjoy work. Like, there were aspects of it that I enjoyed. I did enjoy working with students, making a positive difference in their life, being like a type of father figure to them. What I did not enjoy were the office politics, basically having admin on my back. Like, originally, admin had my back, and then they were just they were on my back. So, yeah, it's the case
You this bored you want to make an enemy?
Ain't you got other things to do than bother me?
that it became about politics. Where did all my guns go?
I thought I told you to leave it, Bubba.
I thought to myself who this little girl thinks she's telling anything to.
Enjoy your drink in peace. I ain't got no business with you right now.
What that mean?
For the last
Gainful
time.
employment. That's what I need to find.
Or what?
Get the hell out of here before she kills us all!
You!
Get out of here!
John Marston.
It is good to see you.
I thought I heard a rumor you was alive. Jim Milton, that you?
Guess I didn't do a real good job of hiding my identity. We didn't hear nothing about you.
You kill a feller up by Roanoke?
Sure did.
I thought that sounded like you and Abigail and Jack.
She's fine.
She was always so kind to me.
I'm looking to buy us a property. Beecher's Hope, west of Blackwater. I'm kind of a farmer now. And you?
Oh, you know how it is. Bounties mostly and some other stuff.
Basically, what I like to do is what I'm doing right now.
Hey, you any interest in bounties?
I didn't really
No,
like
going
teaching
straight.
in general.
Sort of.
Like, the lesson planning was a pain in my neck.
Oh, it's legal, usually.
The fact that it was a dead-end job was also very annoying.
Maybe.
Come on then.
What? Where are we headed?
Strawberry. Got on the run from New York. Good price for him.
What'd he do?
Rob a bank?
With a gun?
No, with a pen. He's an accountant, I think.
Sounds easy.
Come on, we got a bit of a ride.
I know.
Man, I gotta wonder about that, too. It's like, how do people think about unemployment?
You said you had something.
I mean, that's obviously not a good thing.
I didn't think we'd be chasing down an outlaw.
It's not a good thing to be between jobs. Is it gonna cost me, though,
Micah?
I think so.
admission
I
to
heard
graduate
it
school,
always sounded
a
like
graduate school program?
About here back,
Okay.
we always said if we found him,
I know what we said we'd do.
And I don't like the way the McDonald's is making me feel either. It's like, I feel like
I'd see any of you again
I gotta work
after
off
you
the
left for
cookies.
Yukon.
Now we came back.
I do like them, but
Strike it rich, as you can see.
just stick with you.
But you're a rancher now.
I aim to be.
Yeah,
Probably
freaking
why I
boring.
can't afford it. This country's becoming real civilized. That folk won't be around for long.
Slow it down.
That was like a small reflection of teaching. Basically, it's like, again, did I really, really want to do it? Did I have to do it? I don't know, man. I'm trying to reinvent myself and be something more than just a teacher. Because, yeah, I mean, teaching, it was stressful, even at the best of times. I gotta remember that.
See what you can find.
And yeah, this game
That's
keeps
it.
squawking.
Feller's name is Nathan Kirk. Banker. Bald. 45.
Okay.
You head up that way. I'll meet you in a bit.
Keep talking about it too. I just want the carefree life.
I mean to meet my friend in town, but I don't know where he's staying. Bald New Yorker, Nathan Kirk. You know where he is?
Afraid I don't know.
And yeah, I've applied to pretty much every local school. I've applied to all the close schools.
You seen a bald New Yorker, name of Nathan Kirk, about 45?
No, sir. We get plenty of New Yorkers here. It's resort town, you see. The Adirondacks of the West, the mayor calls it, but I can't remember any of the bastards.
Okay.
Ask in the general store or the post office. They tend to know who's in residence for the season, as we say.
Season. Good lord.
I mean, I think upon reflecting that if I was offered the job today, I could take it, but it's like, I don't know, I might still be dealing with like stress from my last job. I don't know. It seemed like the principal is focused pretty heavily on my last job.
You seen a fella from New York? Bald guy?
Yeah. A few New Yorkers come here in search of the West.
This one's a wanted man. I work for the government. Sort of. His name's Nathan Kirk.
Mr. Kirk. But he's so charming.
Is he staying here?
He's, up in room 3.
I'm gonna go pay him a visit. It's government business.
How exciting.
Go to Nathan Kirk's room. And yeah, special education, that job was a drag, even, like I said, even at the best of times, it was a drag. I'm just trying to think about it.
Room 3's just up there.
Okay, I get it, dude. Thank you. Like, I did enjoy working with kids, but it's like something about teaching itself that was kind of just a drag to me. Like, if only there was an easier way to teach. Maybe I would like to continue doing it. Right? I mean, I don't think anything about the job today really captured my imagination. None of the schools that I've really interviewed with are like super programs. Like, I don't think they are. There's always at least one like glaring issue. Like today it was the principals cross-examining me on my resume. The other school, it was the fact that it was an all-girl team. There was not a single guy on that team. So I'm just kind of like, how did they get there?
There you are. He's staying in the welcome center.
What now?
You head in there and try to flush him out.
Mr. Kirk! Mr. Kirk, you in there?
Yeah, see, my stomach kind of hurts now. It's not that I ate too
Just a
much.
friend. Stop. Hey, that's Nathan Kirk. Oh, got him?
Oh, shut up. Come on, jump on.
You're a good girl now.
We gotta get after him. Remember, we want him alive, though.
I know.
He went right.
I think that's what I'm yearning for more than anything else, like just this sense of adventure.
Stay
I think I felt like a lot of people did. Like, I just kind of wanted something fresh and something new. Coming for you. It's too bad.
You're back.
Almost had him. Come. Monsters! Stop what you caught there.
I don't deserve this treatment. Thanks for that, Mr. Kirk.
I've had all kinds of like rotten teaching jobs
I'm an
too.
innocent man, but it's all a mistake. My wife is a desperate woman.
I've had teaching jobs where the kids would use me for target practice,
Hey, quiet now.
Where shall I send the
and I've been
money?
passed over
I
time and
ain't
again
paid
for
yet.
Hold
promotion.
on to it for me. Need to speak to the bank over in Blackwater. Get a loan for the property. Might make them happy to see I've got a boss.
So I've got a couple of other leads I could use your help with if you're interested. I'm usually at the saloon in Blackwater.
I need money pretty bad, so I'll come find you.
Luckily, that's not me IRL. Like, I do still have savings. So it's not like I'm like pulling my hair out like, oh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Can't afford to eat today, you know? And actually, I'm eating quite well. I shouldn't, well, I don't know if I'd say that. Like, I don't know if I'd say I'm eating well. I'm just not, like, starving, for example. I'm doing fine. I kind of remember, like, I think it's kind of weird. Like, I am like a young old soul is how I describe myself. Like, I'm someone who likes gradual change. I tend to not do as well with like rapid change. And this year, there's been a lot of rapid changes. Yeah, there's been a lot of fast changes. I mean, the whole Japan trip, losing my job back in February, job search. I mean, shoot, last month I was going to move to Vegas to take another teaching job. Like, it's just been that kind of year. And they gave me 2 weeks, 2 weeks to accept the offer and move. That's just how crazy it is nowadays. I just feel like there's just no, like, there's a fading sense of compassion in the world. Like, there's no patience, there's no understanding. At the time, I was asking for 2 more weeks. I'm like, can I have 2 more weeks to help me with moving? And they didn't try to help me at all. The district didn't help me cover any of the expenses. The principal didn't help me at all. She could have given me more time at least. Ansel Atherton. She didn't even do that. It's just a hard way of living now. And yeah, it was kind of, I think the main problem with the interview itself today is that it was just too mechanical.
I need assistance! Please! Sir, please stop! Oh, I beg you!
What do you need?
Oh, I'm in bad sorts here. I took a little jolt and have managed to get myself hopelessly lost. I am staying in Strawberry. If you could just guide me back.
I can't quite think of a good reason to say no.
Oh, thank you, sir. Shall I hop up there on the back with you?
Your legs work, don't they?
Well, yes, I suppose. It's just a little demeaning.
Will you doing out here anyway? This clearly ain't your natural habitat.
We just start heading there.
No, I'm just visiting. I'm from New York City, actually.
Well, again, what are you doing here?
Say,
Oh, yes. There was some talk at the country club about this burgeoning little resort town called Strawberry. So I thought it might be quite the trip to see what all the fuss was. Perhaps make a few investments while it was still undervalued. Turns out I was made the fool.
not enjoying it then?
It's a town of splinters, if you could call it much of a town at all. I'd hardly stepped off the carriage and I'd taken in the whole place. I suppose some might call it charming. Let me tell you, charm is not worth much these days. You show me a timber frame shack and I'll show you Broadway. Will you slow down?
Yep, let's go.
So anyway, as I was saying... And meanwhile you have this mayor, a quite intolerable blowhard. A little bespoke woodwork and he thinks this is a cultural hub? The man's completely deluded. Well, I should give him some credit. He must be quite the salesman. He did get me out here after all. More fool me. Now I'm tromping through the leaves in the muck with some cowboy. No offense.
Little taken.
I cannot possibly follow you at this pace.
Pick it up, man.
Oh yes, this does look familiar. Oh, are we close to town?
And why couldn't he hop on the back again? I didn't think it would be appropriate or something. What is taking him? Come on.
You've rescued me from the depths.
Yeah, go on, get.
You seem quite the resourceful sort, sir. If for some reason you plan to spend any time in Strawberry, you may want to look into that gabbing mayor. Something is definitely off with him.
I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, fella.
Hello.
And yeah, you could have asked them if they could do the interview virtually today. I guess looking back, I mean, I don't see what the disadvantage would have been if I were to request to meet virtually. I mean, yes, I wouldn't have met the lady that I met today, but I don't know that I'll see her again, especially not if I'm not offered the job.
New Yorkers. Jesus.
Maybe they had to change their policies too. Like, I don't know who came up with the idea that you should get a list of the questions 15 minutes prior to the interview. Like, I get why they give you the list of questions because they don't want you to be, like, dumbstruck for any of the questions. But, the problem is that it makes it a little bit too scripted. Like, that's the first school I interviewed with after I lost my job was Landmark. It was like a school like right by here. And I think that's the main reason I lost the job is because the entire interview was too scripted. They had their list of questions, I had my list of questions, and I just read question after question. And I don't know, maybe that was a good thing, maybe it was a bad thing, maybe it showed them a mirror up to themselves that they maybe just didn't like seeing. I don't know. They weren't very specific when I didn't get offered the job. I actually was not invited to demo. That was the next step in the process, was a demo. And that was another all-girl team, by the way. I think guys are just very, like, they were extremely rare in education. They do stand out.
It's never too late. Seek salvation, and maybe ye shall find peace. Help a blind man.
Hey,
He can. Yeah, Fendi is so fun. She could be my girl anytime. Probably for your future. I kind of don't really know what's in mine.
Hello, sir.
I gotta remember, I come from a lower middle class background. And we're not really known for our affluence or opportunity. Looking back on my life, like most of the like positive developments, most of the achievements that I've experienced in my life were a direct result of my own initiatives. Like I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth whatsoever.
What's your problem?
If I ever was to become rich, I would be a self-made rich person. 100% I'll be self-made if I was to ever become rich. All the money I have, again, it was earned through hard work, discipline, and ethic.
Howdy there. Excuse me, sir.
Hello there.
Can I help you?
Yeah.
Welcome.
I'm looking for Mr. Atherton. I'm a friend of Mr. Getty's over at Pronghorn Ranch.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Atherton is in his office. Hey, please head in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I help you?
I hope so. I want a loan, sir. A line of credit, so I can buy some property.
What property?
An old ranch, Beecher's Hope.
Landowning classes. Landowning
That's
classes.
an old dump?
I know it ain't much, but I ain't much of a farmer either. But I will get there.
That is a very unusual way of asking for a loan. Mr.
Marston.
Marston.
Only folk around here call me Milton. It's kind of a joke, I guess.
A joke, huh? And which folk?
Mr. Getty's? I work for him. He said that you could help me out. I mean, if you can.
So old David Geddes told you I'm the kind of man to loan a man with two names money so he can buy a rundown farm on account of his lack of farming skills, huh?
Don't sound too promising when you put it like that.
Well, how would you put it?
Sorry to waste your time, sir.
Oh, sit down. I'm sure we can figure something out. Now, of course, we'll be expecting you to make regular payments, and given a lack of much evidence you got any means of repaying, the terms won't be too great. But if my cousin vouches for you, it'll be okay with the bank.
Really?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, of course, we'll be expecting our money back regular as clockwork until the debt's settled. Otherwise, the farm reverts to the bank, no matter how much you paid.
I understand.
Well, why don't you go check out the land while I fix the contracts and talk to Mr. Geddes. Oh, I heard there's squatters up there. We've been having so many problems recently, they'll need clearing on.
Sure.
Well, come back when you're done and we'll fix up the paperwork.
Just stress, 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 stress. This was always a stressful job too for me teaching. I was never wildly successful. I think I was happiest as a teacher when I had coworkers I could count on, when I had teachers I felt comfortable co-teaching with, when I had students I loved. I will never forget her, Anais, her name was. She was one of my favorite students. And then I had other students that were students that I liked working with too. Just stop freaking eliciting my help, man. Do I look like a freaking errand boy? Hey, gosh, man. Can anyone figure anything out in those days? I think that's the reason why people don't ask for help nowadays. It makes you kind of look like you're helpless. I think maybe that's the reason why people didn't help me when I asked for help. It comes down to the relationship, I guess. What was I gonna say? Something about teaching? Oh yeah, my fondest memories, my best students. I had a student called Jackie. I loved working with her. I had a student named Gabriella. Those were like my superstars. They were all girls. As a teacher, yeah, sometimes I would pretend to be their father. Maybe pretend is the wrong word. Maybe just fantasize or idealize. maybe dream is like the closest way to put it. I would like dream that they could maybe be my daughters, or because I always had that feeling like that they're the daughters that I always wanted. There is, I don't know if I really am gonna put too much weight in the bounty poster. I'm like, really? Behind me. I've never been fortunate enough to have sons or daughters of my own, and I always preferred teaching girls.
You look like an honest enough feller. If I could interest you in bounty work, the poster's on the wall.
And overall, if you were to ask me why, I would say it's because they tend to work harder. Not always. It's not always the case, but they tend to work harder.
Situation with them mongrel dogs, the Skinner brothers. Just when you thought this country had been civilized. You hear what they done up near Tall Trees? Might be where to look for them, if you can stomach it. I don't think you'll be bringing him in alive, but sure as hell I'd love to spit in his eye before he hung.
The mountain country's full of Skinner brothers. You tell me why this one, Elias Green's got a warrant on him.
I'd send you after every last one of them jackals if I could. Reason this one's got his picture up is the mayor signed off on it. That's that.
What did he do?
He perpetrated or was one of the perpetrators of a massacre. Party of 6. Killed and then some. We have his name, we have his likeness. You have his warrant.
I do. I'll see about him, sir. I'll see what I can do then.
We'll take him however you find him, alive or dead.
Principal I talked to today, I think his name was Klein. He just wasn't.
Sir?
He wasn't the most elegant interviewer, I'll put it that way. He asked questions that were, I won't say demeaning, but they were very brusque. I didn't have a very good way of, like, for example, giving a positive response. And I try as I might to be positive in the interview. I try not to be very negative. And that's something, sometimes people would tell me that when I told them I'm a teacher, they'd say thank you for your service. So that's a good feeling.
Hello. Senor?
I, of course, don't teach anymore. At least not currently.
Hi.
Hi there, y'all.
Hola, señor.
Where's my horse? Would I do it again? I mean, if I can't do anything else.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
Missy.
maybe a bad thing to say, but anyway, back to the interview. That's what I was talking about, the interview. He asked me why I started at my last job and ended my last job in February. Now, what kind of question is that? You know, it's like, I think I told him at the time, like, I don't remember, because he asked me, like, why'd you start in February? I'm like, I don't know, I can't remember, is what I told him. But really, like, if I think about that question, it's because of, again, because of how freaking hard it is to find work, man. That's what I felt like saying. If you look closely at that resume, it was 8 friggin' months before I was able to return to work. 8 months. And that was the no good, very bumpy, very bad year. Because I lost my job, like, what was it, in March? Yeah, in March. And then I found another job in July. In July, but I was, like, fired 2 weeks later. It was, like, a complete and total joke. Part of the reason why, again, I think you need just... You've got to find a good team. Wherever you're at. Like, Monarch, the reason why that worked for 2 years, why it worked so well, is because it was a good team. Like, what maybe wasn't the best team, but it was a good team. It was only towards the end that I no longer felt that that was the case. Because, as you know, times change, people change. It's hard to say which one of us is more to blame, me or my former boss, for my leave taking. Maybe both of us. You know, maybe I changed, maybe she changed. And overall, it was a good job, by the way. I don't want to like bash my former employer. Monarch Montessori. Because ultimately they did give me the opportunity to continue in teaching. And to continue making a difference in the lives of students. To continue making a positive impact in the community. And yeah, there's Fandy. She is so fine. Good gosh. Looking at her chat. Not me. It's in your chat. Because I'm not followed. Wait, she's not following me. If she follows me, I can follow her. I think that's my unofficial rule. She's got to follow me for me to follow her. Otherwise, I'm just a fanboy. But anyway, the places that I was at for 2 years were Monarch and Achieve. Those are the places I was at for 2 years. If you were to ask me, well, why'd you stay there for that long? Well, one, I'd say Monarch was easier to stay at than Achieve. Achieve was a very, very difficult job. It was a very hard job, very stressful job. The reason I stayed is because it was a good paycheck. And I like being in charge of a team. I had a team of paras that reported to me. And we got into a good groove where we could go on like what were called like field trips every week. And just looking at all of his messages, I'm like, come on now. Not me. It's not me. You gotta look for me, Bandy. Come on. And I think those outings helped make it more more reasonable of an experience. Like it wasn't completely horrible because of those outings. Like those like field trips that we had as a group, and helped bring us together too. It's like great all around. Monarch had stuff like that too. And what was beautiful about the field trip too, and at both places, is that those were days and times where I didn't have to worry about teaching. Like I didn't have to worry about planning. I didn't have to worry about grading papers. I didn't have to like worry about addressing student misbehavior. If you were to ask me, so why'd you stay at Monarch for 2 years? I mean, I think that would have been a better question than why'd you start in February? Why'd you end in February? But anyway, if you were to ask me, like, so why'd you work at Monarch for 2 years? What I'd say is, well, because I felt like I was a member of a supportive team. That my boss absolutely was there, the head of elementary was there, and she had my back. Let me check the time. I know I'm like rambling on a little bit more in this episode, but I'm reflecting. I felt like both the head of school and my boss, the head of elementary, were both very like happy, positive, uplifting. I had 2 interviews, I believe, for that job before I got hired. And yeah, I don't think I ever really questioned my decision to join that school. Today, I think I was somewhat critical of the job because I focused on all of the challenging aspects of being a special needs teacher, which, you know, was fair in the interview. Because, I mean, hey, if you're going to be doing something similar,
Hey, need a hand with your neck?
Oh, hey, come back! Oh no!
I don't think I'm going to care about that. It's annoying playing as John Marston just in general. Okay, better go get him then. It's like all this time too, I was building up Arthur's like morality, and then he just dies. I'm like, what? And I know, man, it's scary for them too. They don't really know me as a teacher. They weren't there with me in the trenches. They didn't really see my teaching. They didn't really know my style.
What a girl you're becoming.
But anyway, back to that question. Like, why'd you start and leave in February? So I know he kind of asked it like that because why did you leave your last job is one of the top questions in the interview. And it's because it's a gotcha question, right? It's totally a drama question. What I call a drama mama question. Because it's your special opportunity for people that are not well versed in interviews, people that maybe don't have good social graces, to complain and piss and moan and blame their former boss. I'd say maybe half of the people who get that question get it wrong because of that. Because they err on the side of negativity, maybe truthfully. You know, maybe it's completely legitimate. Because, I mean, no one ever fires themselves, right? I mean, you can quit yourself, but no one ever fires themselves. It's someone else's choice. It's someone else's decision, either your boss or the HR person or, you know, your supervisor or whoever is in charge of making those decisions, HR manager. And so, again, I think it's not the best of questions for that reason, because some people are not directly responsible for their own leave. And that's even more true if the person in question was laid
Who's
off
in charge
of their
here?
last job.
No one, mister. This is a free country.
Now that I ain't so sure about. Listen, I'm buying this land.
I just said I left in search of professional
Afraid.
development and growth opportunities. I didn't
Afraid you guys are gonna have to go somewhere else.
talk about how I was put on a performance improvement plan,
Some fancy Dan city boy says he owns this land.
because that was the problem too
Owns it.
with Monarch. Like, I was happy working there.
And how come
Overall, I did enjoy my job. I did have good satisfaction.
Get the hell out of here. This land belongs to me now.
Ain't nothing on this earth belongs to no one, partner.
Looks like you made your decision then, partner.
Why is there, like, no bullets in this gun? Headshot. Hopefully I didn't come across too much today as like a wild guy. I mean, I don't think I did. I think I just came across as someone who's like more or less burned out. Which is kind of to be expected, I mean, based on my treatment in the last job. Again, I didn't mention anything at all in my last job about being put on an improvement plan, because basically, like what I was talking about, like it got to the point where my boss, the job was very contingent on my relationship with my boss, basically.
But you, the man with two names and no past.
Overall, we got along well.
How'd you make out?
She
Well,
was
let's
very
just say
supportive.
there
She
are
had
no
my
more
back. We would have
squatters.
meetings where she would check in with me towards the beginning just to make sure I was happy and everything was going well.
About buying this place, it's really run
And then she
down. The
stopped
price
meeting
isn't
with me.
too great.
I think
And
it would mean
then
a lot for my wife. At least mean I was listening to her.
Okay. Well, sign here and here.
like she had an accident. And I think that is the major breaking point of our relationship, because she went on medical leave, like a medical leave of absence. And I didn't really foster resentment towards her because of that. Like I didn't see her as inferior. I didn't see her as less than she was because she had to take that leave. Like I recognized it was because she had an accident.
Now we own you, Mr. Marston, and we own Mr. Milton too, and we own your property. But you can buy your freedom each week. Eventually,
This entire storyline just sucks. I'm gonna be honest. It really sucks.
I understand.
I could care less about
congratulations, you are
Marston.
now a
I could
real
care less
American
about this whole
independent
adventure.
and
It just
owned by the
sucks.
bank. I'm joking. They own me. They just own your property. Now, you can also use this line of credit for any home improvements you need to make, of course.
I can?
Sure. Be good, Mr. Marston. Welcome to home ownership. It's a beautiful thing. Let your wife know what to complain about.
I actually looked into that
Joking.
myself too. The realization that I had is that home ownership is basically for the rich.
It is you. Well, I thought you was dead, boy.
People
Dead.
basically will forget you or write you off
Come here.
if you're between jobs,
I saw
if you do
go
not have a
into the
high-paying
bank.
job.
By the looks of things, you ain't robbed it.
I've gone straight.
Bull crap.
No, for real.
And this sucks. That's why I'm
I'm
tuning out.
trying.
All these
It
years,
sucks.
You ain't changed a bit. Maybe a little bit. I thought you was dead.
Who the frick is this,
Not
dude?
yet.
Yosemite Sam?
Well, I got some things to take care
No,
of.
not a
Prospector
problem.
Pete?
I'll come too.
No, you don't have to.
Oh, I'm real sick, John. Lumbago. It's a slow and painful death, my brother.
Evidently.
Have a little pity, will you? Huh?
Come on, then.
All right. I'm ready, Marston. Come on.
Unfortunately, there is a rec center nearby. I asked about using it when I first moved in because that would have been a great way to get like free workouts in. Free gym, and all I have to do is walk down. Or Beatrice Hope with Uncle. Whatever. And so yeah, like I was saying, in my last job, that division started with her, I think, medical leave of absence. She took like a significant amount of time off of work. And I think she changed as a result. Like she changed. I didn't change as much because I was doing the job fine without her there, which speaks to how capable I was in the role, my overall independence, my overall competence at the role.
How I see.
I didn't get into any of this during the interview today.
This ranch.
But anyway, she had a leave of absence and then she came back. And I think she tried to do like a double time when she came back. And what I mean by that is she started just meeting with me like a bunch. And it got to the point where I accused her of harassment because I'm like, I feel uncomfortable with this. I feel like you're bothering me. Like basically what I was saying is like, I can't do my job because like I can't work with the students. You keep pulling me into your office.
Her and Jack are waiting until I'm set up before joining me out here.
She left you? Oh, I never thought she was a smart
This
woman,
is
but,
annoying.
You know, this makes me think
She ended up
maybe
self-reporting. She
No more.
came out and said that
Just
I had
bump
accused her of
into us.
harassment, and
You're
then
lucky I'm showing it to you.
they started
Now
basically
looking for a place
managing
to
me
live
out.
here.
I think for me personally, that was the point of no return. And yeah, like I'm just gonna pause here because this game is just annoying the living heck out of me with Marston. I really could care less about this epilogue. Like I don't care at all. I don't know what Rockstar was really thinking or doing with this. They lost it 100%. They lost it. They dropped the ball when Arthur died, and then they decided to keep going. I don't know why they did. A complete flop, absolute failure. I don't know who made this decision, but what the heck is wrong with you? Anyway, so yeah, if you look at all the pieces, like as I'm telling you, for anyone that's like watching this, if you look at all the pieces, like how they were laid, I stayed at the job because I liked working there and I liked the people that I work with. I think I could have had, in reflection, better quality relationships. I think it would have added to my overall quality of life if I got closer to my coworkers. Like I only started getting closer to my coworker Jared. He was the music teacher toward the end. I absolutely was not expecting to lose my job the following week. That's the thing. And I even told him like I'd like to come back and check out the sheet music because we were connecting over piano. And yeah, I never got that chance because they let me go. And so I think he knows that I actually lost my job. It wasn't me that quit. I'm not really a quitter. That's like something I like to underline. Like I'm not someone who quits. Every single one of my jobs, I was let go from. Anyway, so they put me on the performance improvement plan. because they had to justify letting me go. See? Because here's what I think. I think they didn't want me suing or harassment my boss or like calling 911 or something because I felt like I was being bothered. Like she was all up on me. She wasn't giving me room to work. And that's the problem with modern workplaces too, is there aren't really very many protections in place. Maybe I should have taken those concerns to Noel, the HR person then instead of my boss. I've always been a person that believes and believed in getting to the heart of the problem though, trying not to get wrapped up in the rumor mill because I think that's how problems start too. If I went to the other person, the HR person, I think she can keep a secret. I wouldn't want, for example, my boss to be put on leave because of what I said. That's the thing. I just wanted her to listen to me, to help me in the job, like I did towards the beginning. Like it got to the point, guys, where she was basically setting up meetings. She would forget, and basically no one would show up to the meeting, and then she would blame me. She'd be asking me questions like, "Why didn't anyone show up to the meeting?" I'd be like, "I don't know. You were the one who set the meeting." And so it's like, even at the best of times, like admins, leadership, they can fail. And even before that, like a sign of her backing away from me,
Look at her.
there was a mom. I don't think I'll forget. Maybe, I don't know if I'll say for as long as I live, but I'm the kind of person that like holds on to things for a long time too. Like if something happens, like I don't forget it. I'm like an elephant that way. There was a mom, and she thought I insulted her son because I suggested that he can draw. And she kept talking this thing, that thing, the other thing. She basically kept trying to drag my name through the mud, this mom. And I'm like, it got to the point where we had an evaluation meeting and it wrapped up. And she just started going off. She's like, I don't want him working with my son. Is there another teacher who could work with him? I think he's naive. He doesn't know what he's doing. He can't teach. I don't know how he got that, degree, yada, yada, yada. I don't know how he's a teacher. And she just kept tearing me down. And I got to the point in the meeting where I'm like, look, I say, keep my name out of your mouth if you have nothing positive to say. That's what I said. And my words are always like demonized. I'm always made to be the villain. That's exactly how I lost my job at Achieve too. They took my words and they took it out of context and they made it seem like I was like some kind of Hitler character, which I'm not.
Exactly.
I just have high expectations and I want the most for the students.
Why? Is she an idiot? No. What were you thinking?
I don't know.
Which is a bit of a double-edged sword if you think about it.
What are we gonna farm here?
Because of course there are going to be other people who maybe have different opinions about what's best for the student. And that's how conflicts arise.
Enough of that. Get out of here. On your way.
No, you're stuck with me. Seems I'm stuck with you. John, the rock farmer.
So, you think I'm an idiot?
No, I know you're an idiot.
Anyway, and of course I was called into the HR person's office following that meeting. But I still remember at the time it felt like that meeting was a total bag over the head because that was not the purpose of the meeting. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss her son and his IEP. So why is she taking a vendetta against me? That's the thing, like, why is she taking a personal vendetta against me? Yeah, Beatrice Hope, part 2. Yippee-ki-yay. Can we please just end this? Some people just have very bad personal problems, and they take it out on everybody else. And she was one of those people. Because what really grinded my gears about that job, too, and this is something else that I didn't talk about in that interview. I think maybe I wrote it down. I didn't talk about it in the interview. Because they allowed you to write down the answers to the questions before the interview. But what really bothered me about that was that my boss was not challenging her. I think that is what really undermined our entire relationship. Yes, it was the increasing tension. Yes, it was all the meetings. Her, for lack of a better term, mental state. She wasn't as happy and as upbeat towards the end. It seems like she was, again, blaming me for everything that went wrong, even stuff that I was not personally responsible for. And I think that what they called it the PIP. Guys, that was basically the performance improvement plan, what I call a hit piece. And yeah, I've already told my mom all this. I'm telling you guys just kind of like as like ad hoc therapy. But I refuted all of the claims in that document, like time and again. Like it was just them, like I told the unemployment person, like them managing me out. Like they wanted me gone. It got to the point where my former boss was basically just sitting in the back of my classroom, just waiting for me to screw up, so she can use that as an excuse to fire me. And she never found it. She never did. They had to use an email basically that I sent, and they tried to make it seem like I was trying to subvert my boss because she wasn't copied on that email. But if it's student disrespect, if it's student behavior that's in question, there are different lines of defense, right? First, you start by talking to the student. And then if the student can't resolve the issue on their own, then at that point, and I explained this in a recent interview too, at that point, then you get other members of the team involved. Like then you get the classroom teacher involved. Then you get the home team involved, which is exactly what I did. And then if they can't resolve it at home or in the classroom, then at that point you get admin involved. You say, okay, what can we do as a team? You don't immediately start with admin. And they made it seem because I did not copy my supervisor at the time that I was trying to like go over her head or something like that, trying to go under her. Which I wasn't. I was just trying to resolve the problem with the student's behavior. That's really what that entire email is about, which is always in the teacher's wheelhouse. That is always the teacher's prerogative, is being able to troubleshoot and solve student problems. So why then? Why was my then boss not willing to work with me on that student's problem? They were able to read the email because somehow they had access to my email. They were able to see and basically spy on me and see all my emails. So they understood what that email was about. It was about the student's behavior. So why then wasn't I offered help on that? To this day, I still don't know if that situation ever got addressed. Because the way I understand it, and I'm going to basically wrap up today's episode too. I'm really sick of the John Marston show. I'm really sick of it. Basically, people have patterns of behavior, right? And for students, that's even more true. Which is why whenever a student has a behavior problem, you have to nip it in the proverbial bud. The best way, in my opinion, as a teacher, as a former teacher, I should say, is to assess, that is, figure out where the student is coming from, which I did kind of reflect this in one of my answers today. Listen to the student and see if they're able to express themselves and tell you what it is, because ultimately the student is the one that is in control. They are the ones responsible for everything they say and do. You can try to motivate them, you can try to influence their behavior, but at the end of the day, the choices they make are theirs and theirs alone. And yeah, Uncle gives Quest BKA. Basically, the sooner you're able to correct that behavior, the less likely it is that the behavior will repeat itself. That the student will be caught in a cycle, or where the student will be disrespectful again and it will get them referred or sent home or in school detention, which I don't even think they have that anymore. But I think it helps to talk first to the student before you jump the gun. And the problem that I had with that student in question is I would talk to him, but it wouldn't get anywhere. I'd say, it's okay, I'm here to help you. You know, this isn't like our way of saying you're dumb or you're stupid or you can't do it. And I think that's a very negative perception of special education in general that still persists and exists to this day. To this day, that people still think of it as inferior. They're inferior students, which is again a negative perception that still, for better and for worse, I'd say for mostly for worse, still exists. I actually don't think it's better at all. Just for worse, it exists. I'd say the better part is that some people don't see it as negative. They kind of see it as I once saw it, and I still basically do. Did I save? I can't remember. That at a certain level of perception, right? This is something else I talk about, and I'll go ahead and talk about this a little bit more in like the outro of today's episode, because I know I'm doing a lot of explaining in today's episode. I want to get this out there before I forget what I wanted to say. Let's see if you can see me. There we go. Hopefully I didn't lose it. Uh-oh. What was it? What was it? What was it? I think I was talking about patterns of student behavior. Yeah. I was talking about student communication. And yeah, and something I did mention in today's interview is that, again, the modes of communication and expression, basically ways that students have of expressing themselves, saying something's wrong. You want to give the student as many tools as possible to be able to communicate, right? How are you feeling today? What's going on? What's wrong? Whenever they have a crisis or problem. And it was a very strange situation. It was a situation that I wanted to understand more about time. As a teacher, as a professional, maybe you could say like as an aspiring psychologist, like I wanted to understand what was going through his mind. Because he just seemed, again, very frustrated, very upset in class that I was coming to see him, even though his IEP basically had not changed. What changed was his classroom. He went from lower elementary to upper elementary. That was the main transition, the main change. And yeah, I could break that down too. Because that because of that change, he saw and understood maybe that he didn't need that IEP anymore. And yeah, I did mention that briefly too, like exiting the student from services. Like maybe we needed to, maybe we didn't need to at that point. How do I feel about the school today? I don't know. I'd say I'm not crazy about the principal. It seemed like like he definitely picked questions that were like what I call the low hanging fruit questions, the easy and obvious questions to ask. That's one thing I'm seeing from this district to Jeffco is that like they're not the best interviewers. I'll just say that. And yeah, Isaac, he was supposed to get back to me today and offer me the job. Maybe I'll still hear back from him. Maybe I didn't get the job because I didn't hear from him today. He said he would get back to me by today. So maybe I didn't get the job. It seemed like of all the people I've interviewed with thus far, he was the most sensitive to the situation, most sensitive to my background, what I would bring to the school and role. Whereas again, the principal today, it's like, look, life is negative. Sometimes it's more negative than others. And you don't necessarily have to draw attention to the negative because there will always be negative there. Like the truck today that was like throwing rocks off on the freeway. Like this laptop with the camera not working. There's always going to be a complaint. There's always going to be a problem. There's always going to be something to talk about. And yeah, it's like it's hard for me to feel like I'm able to move on from my past when people are hyper focused on it. And it's that same reason why I was not invited to so many interviews this year. Why I'm still going on 6 months unemployed because there are gaps on my resume and I can't address them. It is like the old catch 22 situation where you have to be hired to move on. Until then, it can't and it will not change. Ipso facto, the fact of the matter is, I stopped working at Monarch Montessori in February of this year. It is now August, going on September. The only correction to that is me being hired. That is the only correction. What I mean by that is the only thing that will lessen the gap and not add to the gap. Because the gap is reflective of time, the passing of time. The longer, of course, the longer it takes me to find work, the longer it takes me to find a job, the bigger the gap becomes. Just how it is. Just the nature of how the world works. And yeah, I would say don't worry because my longest period of unemployment was 8 months thus far. I still don't know. I can't say and I can't tell you how long it will be before I'm able to return to work. I'm a lot like my father, too. We're very work oriented. We are very busy people. And so whenever we're not working, like I'm like my brain's going in like 20 different directions. Like, do I return to school? Do I try to return to work? Do I just keep doing what I'm doing now and just enjoy life and not stress that stuff too much? Not worry about it too much? Like, do what Fanny's doing right now, doing what I'm doing right now, and just play video games? Now, of course, I have 0 viewers. She has actually, let me check. And actually, I'm very proud of this camera today. It's finally working. Um, she has almost 4,000 viewers right now. Of course, she is taking advantage of her physical beauty, which I don't have the advantage of. I have to rely on my compelling commentary because I am not a physically attractive woman. That's how it is. And yeah, it's like the older you get, the more you understand about the world, like how it works, what people are drawn to and attracted to. Like they're attracted to beautiful women. Are they attracted to beautiful men? Maybe, but only if they can't see underneath the surface. They can't see all the problems inside. And it's like it's kind of like Sigmund Freud, right? He's long since been dead, but it's still a needed profession because just looking at me, right? It's like you can open my head and you can just like look through all of the files in my head. You could see all of the things I experienced, all the joys, all the sorrows, all the moments of achievement and accomplishment, all the moments of stress and frustration. And looking at all of that, you can help me kind of play like that game that was like Operation, where you can kind of find the pain points, trace all the pain points. If I had a girlfriend, like if Gabby came through, she could. Oh, hey, chicken. Sorry if I missed your message. What I was saying is, if I had a girl, if she came through, she could be that person technically. A therapist could also potentially be that person that is able to sit there and listen to me reason and just like again try to find all those pain points, just cancel them out. It's like, like that dating coach says, it's like you are enough. It's not like her rejection was a reflection of your worth or character. She had other options. That's all it means. Because she's also attractive. Attractive women have multiple options. That's how it is. And if you don't get offered the job, there are plenty of other jobs. You didn't have to view. It's like I need someone else telling me this too, so it's not just me talking to myself all the time. You don't have to view defeats as permanent. That was always my problem too. All through my 20s, and I think for a fair bit of my 30s, it's like I tend to just get stuck. Like I get stuck on difficult times. This is absolutely a difficult time for me. Yes, no, maybe so. Because yes, I'm between jobs. Yes, I can live my easy life. Maybe I could bring the two a little bit closer together if I could somehow work from home. And yeah, hey chicken, yo, thanks for supporting the show. If I could do this for my job, that can help me feel less anxiety about my career, really. And uh, I'm basically wrapping up today's episode, but I want to get this thought out there. Maybe I should be typing some of this down too. I'm also like typing a book. Uh, I don't know if I would call it a book. It's basically like a stream of consciousness where I'm just like writing down ideas. But what was I gonna say? Dang, I wonder if I lost it. I think it helps if I see myself. Like it helped. He had someone to share this with. Maybe I can't do it. Just had like a great idea, and I think I just lost it. Maybe if I just look at myself, it'll come back to me. Yeah, bringing the two together because money is the thing. Like money is a big problem. I think it is the cause of many problems. Like for example, tomorrow I'm going to be going to get my car fixed because I was driving behind someone on the freeway today. I'm still frustrated about it. Where he was just throwing rocks. Dude, throwing rocks is what I got in trouble with that I got in trouble for in the first grade. That's what I wanted to write down. And this is not the first time that's happened to me either here. I think there needs to be better law enforcement or something, someone that is able to get these people off the road. I frankly don't even think that should be street legal. I just hope all the damage is able to come out. That's what I hope. And the thing is, that didn't happen for Pomona. So Pomona is another one of the schools that I interviewed with. And yeah, it's like again, those things that happen because of choices we make. Like the choice I made today was to drive to the interview. The consequence of the choice was I got chips in my windshield, perhaps small dents on my car, spending gas, getting McDonald's. All those were consequences of the decision to interview in person today. Drake, that's another school I interviewed with. Uh, they did not hire me. Yeah, like many people this year, they did not hire me. Same reason I got in trouble in the first grade. I still remember that to this day. I ended up getting my buddy Eddie, we call him Edgar. I ended up getting him in trouble because he joined me and he was also throwing the rocks. I think I just took responsibility at the time. I was in the first grade. I was 6 years old. And I still remember that to this day, that we both got in trouble for throwing rocks at cars. I think my punishment was like a detention. I wasn't actually like kicked out of school, but uh, I was given detention, which back in them days, detention meant you had not a year, an hour after school, and I believe it was on Friday, where you just had to sit there for like an hour. Sometimes they would give you work to do. Other times, I think you would just have to sit there for like an hour. And then after your detention's over, I think they just let you go. I got so many detentions, dude, when I was in like kindergarten and first grade. I remember there was an episode of South Park, and they say, you killed Kenny. I repeated that word in the after school program because at that time I was in the after school program. And I got detention then. I got detention given to me from the after school employee worker, whatever her name was. I still don't know. I can't remember. She was basically like the after school person, after school helper, and she heard me say the bad word and she gave me detention for that. And then, like I said, I got detention for throwing rocks at cars. But it's like looking back as a teacher, those detentions, I do think they helped steer me in the right direction. Because as I got older, like second grade, third grade, fourth grade, like I stopped getting detentions. It got to the point where I graduated seventh grade, eighth grade, and I had no detentions. Because I started learning the school rules and the expectations. Once you have them down, it's like you just start acting right. The problem here, I think the problem that exists here is that there isn't a firm enough discipline program. Monarch was the same exact way. And because of that, students take advantage. They, they tend to not take their studies seriously. They like lie around. If any of these schools hire me, I guess I could give them more insight into discipline programs. But I think a strong and firm discipline program is a good thing, not a bad thing. Punishment doesn't need to be seen as adversarial to a student's outcome. People need to not be afraid of punishing kids. Don't be afraid of giving consequences to the student. I don't necessarily think hitting them is needed. Kind of have to look at it from a case by case basis. But I would say hitting them is not needed, but you do need a strong father and mother figure. Now I see myself. It's like if I was a dad, the way I would see it is I have high expectations. I want the students to do the right thing. As a teacher, I'm not the kind to yield. I'm very adamant when it comes down to it. I have very high expectations of the students. And if they don't do, I mean, they do what is needed of them in most cases. And it got to the point where if they didn't do it, I would just send them back to class. But it's a bigger question too. How to motivate and engage students. Like, do I really want to be a part of that discussion again too? Like, I mean, that did come up in today's interview too. It's like, how do you engage and motivate students? That's probably one of the biggest questions in education today. Because they're a lot like us. They have so many different things like vying for their attention, trying to grab their attention. It limits their attention span. And like when you're actually delivering the lesson, it's like harder for them. It's hard to say even yet still if I'll return to work. Like I said, I'm going to take my car in tomorrow. Seems like it was really minor what happened today. Maybe my mom's right. Maybe I was just following too close. McDonald's, I'll probably hold off on getting McDonald's for at least a month because I checked that app. I double checked it. I made sure it said $5 before I entered the order. So that wasn't my fault. That was 100% McDonald's. I expect them to give me at least a partial refund. Otherwise, like I said, it's going to be at least a month before I try McDonald's again. And I'm so glad that this camera is working because it has just been giving me absolute heck. Like the last month, like month solid, been giving me heck for interviews, for streams. And this is a year-old computer. This is not an old computer at all. No. And it's not a bad computer either. I've been able to play most games on it. Red Dead Redemption 2, Sekiro. I think Cyberpunk is the only one where I had like significant performance issues. But most games I've been able to run this without problem. Arkham Asylum, I was able to play without issue. And how do I feel about the school today? If they hire me, I'll be okay. If they don't hire me, I'll be okay. The school itself didn't really like wow me. Like it wasn't like, wow. I think I would have rather worked at the high school. And I think starting Monday, I'm going to put in more applications for the high school. Again, I hope my car is okay because that is a nice car. In 1 year, I was just doing the math. I got it in 2022. I believe I need to double check that. 1, 2, 3, 2025. Next year, the lease is going to be up. So it might not really matter in the big picture anyway. I think maybe that's just how I need to see all this stuff. Like it's not really going to matter in the big picture. I just have to see the big picture. I see Fandy and I like what I see. I like what I see. We about to get it on. I wish. But you know what they say, guys? When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. So, come on, universe. Manifest destiny, manifest greatness with me. Manifest love, manifest beauty, give it unto me. Manifest opportunities, make sure I have them. Manifest greatness, let me be the one to hold it. All right, and with that, guys, please remember to support the show. Like, comment, share, subscribe, donate. Venmo Storm Show. Thanks so much for watching. Have a nice night. I've been your host, Stormer Show, signing out and signing off.